In this lecture, we're going to talk about social engineering. As a penetration tester, you need to think like an attacker would. You need to start with the weakest link in the chain. And that is most often our users, because we have not raised their awareness through training, and it is a low or no-tech attack that can be just as effective against us without the attacker having to use sophisticated tools or advanced approaches. In large organizations, it's pretty common that we have strong perimeter defenses, but once you're past that, they don't really have the defense in depth that they should. Since the defense in depth is lacking, an attacker can probably get access to many areas, and this is one of the reasons why social engineering is such a powerful tool. It really just is an attacker using their people skills to bypass our security controls. People want to be helpful, they don't want to get in trouble, and they want a good deal. Social engineering is often what we start out with after we're done with the planning in our penetration testing. We might have spent some time researching the company online, found some phone numbers for, let's say, 20 employees. Or we may just have found the names on LinkedIn from that company. We call the dispatcher, say we need to talk to this employee, and when they dispatch you through, it looks like you're coming from an internal company number. You tell the person at the other end, the person that you researched, "Hey, this is Bob from IT Help Desk. I see some problems on your system. I need you to give me your username and password so I can log in and fix it before it gets worse." You will be surprised how many people give you their username and password because it's possible you are who you say you are. Or remember back to the example we had with the ice cream truck. Employee Appreciation Day, free ice cream for everybody who can prove their work here by using their username and password. 95% of all the employees that were there that day entered their username and password just to get free ice cream. When we do social engineering attacks, they are more effective if we are in person, but they can still be effective over a phone or over an email. If, as pen testers, we use one or more of these approaches when we do our social engineering, it can be much more effective. So first off, we have authority. And that is someone either in a position of power, someone you are afraid of, or someone you trust. If someone looks and feels and sounds like an authority figure, well then they probably are. And people don't like to get into trouble with authority figures. That could just be you wearing a suit looking like senior management or a lawyer, or wearing a uniform. An authority is more effective with impersonation, whaling, or phishing attacks. It can also very easily be paired with intimidation. If you don't do what I say or whatever I want you to, this bad thing is going to happen. Since I am the authority here, I can make this happen, so you just need to do what I tell you. There's some sort of threat going on here. That can be a pop-up saying your system is infected, click here to clean all the viruses out. Whereas we all know, you click on it and then you get all the malware. Or it can be a whale phishing email. The attacker figures out who is in senior management, then they send them a threatening email saying, "If you don't fill out these legal documents within a week, we're going to sue you for $1 million. And this works more because senior management is often not very IT savvy. They open the attachment to figure out what is this about, what do we need to do, and that attachment has a Trojan or a hidden payload, which then infects the system, and the attacker now has access to the system of the CEO. Next up, we have consensus, and this is you following the crowd. Everybody else was doing it. And here, you get to sound like an old tired parent. If everybody else was jumping out the window, would you do it too? And the answer here is probably yes. All the other kids were doing it. And this was pretty much the answer that most of the people who gave their username and password to get free ice cream, but everybody else was doing it, so I thought it was okay. It can also be fake reviews on a website. Download this free course with over 1,000 5-star reviews. Or just selling a product that no one has ever purchased before, but it still has thousands of reviews. If you download something, then probably you do get the actual course, but somewhere in that there's also a Trojan. Scarcity is another one that I think we've all seen. Only today, Rolexes for $10. Or act now before we run out. I like those especially on online courses. Dude, this is an online course. You are never going to run out. So many of us might think those kinds of social engineering are kind of stupid. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But again, we are not the target. There are still plenty of people who download the free course or click on whatever to get it before they sell out. And you may think, well, that's their problem, right? I'm not infected. But remember, you are protecting your organization. If someone downloads the Trojan onto one of your systems and it starts affecting your network, well, then it is your problem. We already talked a little bit about urgency. Act now before it is too late. Sign these papers or we sue you for $1 million. You have 1 week. It uses both authority, urgency, and intimidation. And as the last one, we have familiarity. Here, you have something in common with the person that's trying to attack you, or at least they pretend so. You go do some research on your target, you figure out the high school they went to or friends they might have, anything that you can use to establish that common bond. Then when you're on the call or you're there in person, you say, oh, that's funny. I went to that high school too. I know Jane and Bob. You talk with the victim for a little bit longer, and then at some point you're like, oh, by the way, this is Bob from the IT department, and I need to reset your password. If you just real quick could tell me your username and password, I can fix that for you. And it's so effective because we have common ground. We kind of know each other because we went to the same high school, or at least we pretend that we did, and we know Bob and Jane. And if you look at all these, you can recognize that they are excellent marketing tools. This is what most places use when they sell things. They are efficient, they work for selling stuff, and they also work very well for social engineering. Try to get into a building, just hang out with the smokers who are smoking outside, have a cigarette with them, and when they head back in, try and follow them. You smoke together, you kind of know each other. Or just show up with a bunch of tools looking like a handyman. So it looks like you're supposed to be there, you're there to fix something. And since you have both hands full, people will open the door for you and let you in. Or just show up with balloons and a cake saying happy birthday, whoever. In most cases, they will let you in. They might say something about wanting a piece of cake, but that is about it. You look like you have a reason to be there. People want to be helpful. They would want someone else to do it for them. If they brought a cake and balloons and couldn't open the door, they would want someone else to help them. Now they're doing it for you. And all of that social engineering is so effective because in many places, we forget to train our users on how to spot actual social engineering and be rigorous with the rules we have for access control. And with that, we are done with this lecture. I will see you in the next one.